It's not a coincidence that we have seen another trader passed on the fund.
I was working a lot at the weekends to try to get some money as I come from humble beginnings. 23 pips stop loss. 2 to 3 hours later, I closed this one manually. It hit my profit target for the assessment.
I'm so proud of the growth that this person has made, just how he's carried himself. Someone who works in the shadows. This is a nice trade.
It was one of my best trades.
This is where AFT comes in handy so much.
It was the best decision to join Falcon in 2017.
I think this is brilliant. Very, very well done on this, Morten. Morten is a prime example of someone who has just cracked on it, focused on himself. Slow is fast, and I'm confident he is going to scale up because he's built the foundations in the correct way. You're going to see so much more success coming to this channel.
It's been one of the best journeys of my life.
To gain experience in the market. Grateful to be in this position.
9 trades back to back gone, and then that shattered my confidence completely.
You really want to believe something.
There's been some highs, there's been some lows.
I wasn't good at maths, I failed it at college.
I wanted to be a full-time trader by the end of the year.
This is actually possible.
Trading.
All of that euphoric feeling.
You can't stop my trading.
It's just made me a much better trader overall.
Welcome back to another Inside the Mind podcast. Right, guys, so welcome back to another episode on the Inside the Mind podcast. Join with me today, another portfolio asset manager on the in-house fund. Morten, welcome to the podcast. Pleasure to have you on. How's everything your side?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Let's get right in.
Yeah, well, let's dive straight in. Guys, so before we get into Morten's story, which I'm sure you're all keen to hear about, how he passed his challenge, etc., we're going to just dive into a couple of trades that he took on the fund, and I'll be curious to hear the thought process on these two trades. So these were some of the bigger trades that you took, Morten. It'll be really good. I'm just going to start off with this dollar yen trade here because this is just, Falcon 101, a typical position. Talk us through this trade. I'm just going to start off with a higher time frame here. Was you looking at dollar yen for a period of time? Was there something on watch after this kind of expanding structure before you got into this part?
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about the higher time frame structure. We pushed down on the higher time frame structure or on the 4 hour. I looked at the expanding, and then we had this massive push to the downside. I was thinking about the hook point or the inflection point to the left.
Yeah.
And
just this point here, basically.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. I then tried to look at this point. We trickled to the upside within an ascending channel. And on the lower time frame, I got in on the 15-minute, I think. And we had this internal 1, 2, 3 structure. Yeah, absolutely. And
yeah, nice.
Yeah, and this was the trade where I got in with 23 pip stop loss, and then we pushed to the downside. Management wise, I just let the trade do its thing because we quite often see some moves back to the upside and then push to the downside. I'm more of that relaxed management guy, I would say, because if the trade presents itself and we see it on the 1 hour structure that we get a push down, then I will move my stop to break even.
Yeah, nice. Well, what did you bank on this one?
4%.
4%. Okay, nice. Yeah. So it was roughly around here. Did you get tagged out?
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of the trades. I also looked in hindsight and thought if I should have not closed it down by moving my stop loss to 4%. I looked at the trade because we had achieved the 90% rule of this internal flag. And on the 15 minutes, it looked like, we had some deceleration movement. And I was thinking about what if this trade comes back to the upside to give us a third touch of the flag.
I see. So you was basically looking at it as, right, I'm going to be a bit more aggressive with the stop because, I can be coming up for this sort of entry, and then you just get in again, basically.
Absolutely. And it was the second green candle on the 1 hour, which closed me out of this trade. and banked 4%. Then we moved to the downside.
Yeah, so
It's what it is.
this would have been a much juicier position. On a different day though, Morten, you could have easily stayed in this trade, right? Just simple continuation. I was just looking at the range there for the trade that you took, even just measuring the impulse from the top of the structure, which I mean conveniently sits us here from like if someone wanted to be more of a take profit type person. This is something I always explain. Everybody's style is slightly different. Some people everything's situational. So for example, let's say you was going to catch a flight, you're a busy person. We'll get into your story in a second. You could look at that. If price action was down here, do you want to wait and manage it? Or do you want to close it for 13.5%? It's at an area of interest where it actually makes sense. So on a different day, you could have easily stayed in that trade and either been out around here, especially after that violent pullback, or roughly a little bit further down, on more of an extended one. But this is a nice trade, really nice trade.
Yeah, I really liked it. It was one of my best trades, although management-wise, it could have been a bit better, but we all learn.
Yeah, you can still improve, but it's a bread and butter, 1, 2, 3 internal structure in the continuation. What I liked about that one is, again, the difference. So if we hadn't broken that high and then you saw the same, and this is something that most people don't understand how we trade, Morten, which, as you can imagine, these are finer details, but the difference in quality, which I think you've done in your funded challenge, is really understood the ratio of, higher risk trades versus lower risk trades, that if there was a gap and we hadn't taken that high, and then you took this same position, it just only ever so slightly decreases the quality. Absolutely. So the fact that we had achieved that, it was a very high chance we were going to take out this low. So really great idea on that one. I want to go to the next one, just really quickly on the EuroCAD. So this was a slightly bigger one. What did you bank on EuroCAD?
On EuroCAD, it was like 8.7%.
Nice.
Trade, yeah.
So your EuroCAD trade, this was, okay, so right at the top.
Right.
And then, so I see the idea behind.
On the higher time frame, we had this triple touch structure, and which gave me, and the big on the higher time frame, also the inflection point to the left, which gave me reason to believe that we will, push down to the downside from there.
Nice.
On
the lower time frame, we can see.
So on the 1 hour, we pushed to the downside quite good. On the 15-minute time frame, I was thinking about if the movement, isn't that impulsive.
Mm-hmm.
But what increased the quality of the trade for me was this internal structure on the 5 minutes as we approached the first touch of the flag. So from there on, I got in with a 10 pip stop loss, and
I see. Yeah, nice.
Got in with a risk entry on this internal 1, 2, 3 structure.
Yeah. So was that the difference for you to look? So say, for example, that we didn't have the internal 1, 2, 3. Would you have waited for something different?
Yeah, I think if you look to the left on the 5 minute, the impulse to the downside was not that perfect in terms of impulse to structure as a relation, and this was setting up the quality of this trade for me.
Yeah, nice. So you've got, and this is what I love about it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you can see the internal structure when you've got these kind of running channels in these moves. I think that's a really key element to understanding, right, this now gives me permission to take the trade. So this one was this was a tighter stop in here. Was it after the first red candle or the second one, if you remember?
After the second one, I got in with a risk entry.
Okay, nice. So yours was roughly what, about 11 pip stop, something like
that? 10 pip stop loss.
10 pip.
Was quite aggressive, and I let this one open quite some time, because on the 1 hour, as our management perspective, pushed to the upside as my thought process in the trade previously on US dollar yen. I just wanted to see some really nice movement to the downside before moving my trade or my stop loss to break even. Let it open, we pushed to the upside and then pushed to the downside impulsively, and then I was moving my stop loss to break even. And as there was no real structure to move my stop loss to the downside, I let it open. And I think, like 2 to 3 hours later, I closed this one manually because it hit my profit target for the assessment.
Makes sense.
Absolutely. So
yeah, that's nice. Yeah, it's a very decent trade. I like the thought process behind it. What stands out with the trades that you took, they're all deliberate. And I'm sure many people in Falcon right now will be looking at similar trades thinking, I wouldn't have understood how to take that, or I do understand and I do take that, which that's really the balance that you have to understand. So if you look at something like dollar yen, I would say that's more your bread and butter, already in continuation. This one on EuroCAD, a little bit harder for, I would say, a beginner to understand, but in the right areas, right, where you're trading. And within here, this is where the 5 minute, this is where AFT comes in handy so much, because if you didn't, how many trades will you just let go and not really understand? Because the 5 minute just gives you more of that clarity on the position. I think this is brilliant. Very, very well done on this, Morten. And yeah, congrats again for getting to the next stage. How does it, we're going to dive into your story now, but how does it feel now that you have become a portfolio asset manager?
Yeah, it feels really great. But it just feels normal because I was already passing the assessment 2 to 3 weeks ago, and I just had my minimal trading days left. So I opened and closed one trade a day, and it really calmed me down. It was really good because it just got into my subconscious mind that I now am trading 40K, and from here on, I just try to scale up and do my thing and stay in my own lane. So these are the things that got into my mind.
Amazing. Love it. Honestly, really proud of the growth that you've made. You've actually been in Falcon from the earlier stages. So let's actually start there. Tell us about someone from the outside in, doesn't know you, how long you've been trading, and just a couple of minutes on your sort of journey into Falcon as well as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started my journey like in 2015. When I was joining another community. Many of the guys and girls will know it. And then I also knew you started your own project and your own Falcon, your own community. And so I knew you were a great trader and you had lots of ambitions. And I know as well as today, you keep up the energy constantly, and it was the best decision to join Falcon in 2017. It was the time when I was studying business economics, and I made myself self-employed. So I founded a business where I made like designs for companies, and also worked as a DJ. So I was always working on the weekends, studying in the week, and I tried to really get clear with my why, my routines, and so on the weekends I struggled a lot while I was working a lot at the weekends to try to get some money, as I come from humble beginnings. And it was always thinking about, let's get the structure clear that I can do everything on the weekend to work and also get my trading stuff in order, So it was a quite tough time because I really had to focus a lot on trading, and I was just fascinating by the idea of making money online, and be wherever I want in the world. But the older I got and the longer I stayed in the community, my mindset shifted. And Falcon really helped me to get clear on my why, and which is, the main focus for me. And the biggest why is getting freedom and the time to do whatever I want to do, to focus on trading and to really enjoy the time with my family. But as life goes, it was a bit more difficult because I just finished my studying as a bachelor, then went to studying my master's degree, which I finished in 2022, and before that, right at the start of 2020, I founded another company, like in the sort of Amazon FBA. I really was focused there then a lot, and it was really going quite well, and we had very good success. But at the time when COVID hit, the pandemic, like in 2021, everything was a bit more difficult. I had to do lots of things as all the supply chains broke down in China.
I can imagine.
And all the stuff that we ordered in China was so expensive. A lot of Chinese sellers came into the market, so now we had to close down our business because it was not successful anymore. And so as you see, I had lots of distractions, not those bad distractions as you would see it, because these were things that everybody wants to do in life: be self-employed, found a business, and work from ever where you are in the world. So the thing was, I was always trying to combine trading, the Amazon FBA business, the self-employment. So it were too many things. I knew at one point that I have to make a stop. And then I finished my master's degree. I started in another company and consulting business. So I got more and more into this rabbit hole, as you would say, and more and more time got away and slipped out of my hands. And then I also started a 9-to-5 job in 2022. So I had like 5 to 6 things going on at the same time while still hustling at Falcon, and more in the backgrounds. But I joined FX Live in 2020, which really helped me to level up my technicals and also my psychology. And at the end of 2022, I joined a trade recap group in Germany. You already know them guys.
Yeah, shout out to the guys. So let's name it.
Big shout out to them, you know. And it was one of the best times because first of all, Falcon Fx Live really helped me to level up my technicals within the week. And normally it's more passive inflow of the Sunday market breakdown. Of course, I have my routines in order to always think about on myself in the first place, what trades I would take in the next week. But being in the FX Live, like on Tuesdays, on Thursdays, is so good. And I really can only relate to this. Everybody who's wanting to level up their trading and their psychology, join FX Live. It's one of the best things, and you can always ask good questions and get really good answers. And then it was like year 2022. I joined the trade recap group, and from there on, I leveled up my trading a lot more. So the main point is surround yourself with the people that are on the level you want to be, and really try to surround yourself with people that have the same reason why they are doing their stuff. Of course, the money is a big incentive at the first place, but all these guys have their in mind that the freedom and the time is much more important. And two of those guys, and I think Nico as well, I now said a name, they really try to get the most out of the time. They already work less in their normal job to really focus on trading, which is also one big goal for me to at the end of this year, as I level up my trading and my trading account, to step down to like 50% or 80% working time per week. So nice. That I get more time back, can focus more on my family and my trading. So these are the things. So it really helped me it was a long journey since 2017, and I think I could have made the shift to a profitable trader much earlier if I had not that many distractions. And I also have to say I bought a Rewired too late. Let's say it like this. If Rewired would have been there earlier when I started, I think I could have made it in 1 year. And because we have all the resources in place, like the Sunday market breakdown, the midweek market breakdown, the Monday live breakdowns. So there's so much at a normal basis, and then you can step up with Falcon Fx Live. You can also do the trading or the coaching sessions with Ibrahim and Abdu. So it's all there, guys. I just can say that. Focus on those things. Get your why first before you start, because money is not the only incentive. I think these are the things that really stuck out through my journey.
Yeah, you just said something really important that my mentor once told me very many years ago, which is money is not a big enough incentive, which is the part of the industry I've not figured out. You would think it would be, but it's not, because when things are difficult, you will talk yourself out of your biggest dreams and aspirations. You would just say, do you know what? Maybe I don't want that house as much as you will talk yourself out because it's not a big enough incentive. But when you're centered and your why is clear and your purpose is there and you know what you're doing, it's a lot easier to just navigate yourself through that. I'm curious, as you know, firstly, thank you for staying committed, loyal, and just through and through Falcon from the earlier stages. I love that. It shows a lot about your character, your mentality to not get distracted on strategies, because you mentioned you were distracted with other things, but of course these are things outside of trading that were going to complement your life and build businesses. So I totally get that. And this is where in success you have to learn how to tame your passion. That's the one part of you get that itch, right? I'm gonna take a step back, I'm gonna get my time back, and then before you know it, 3 weeks later you've opened another business. You're like, what's going on here? So yeah. I totally resonate and I get with that. But that's where learning to tame your passion and focus on the priority that's going to get everything else in check. How did you, in the last 5-6 years, when you've seen the industry strategies come and go, what made you still focus on Falcon and not, get sucked into different returns? What was that thought process? Because this is something a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get distracted because we are living in an age where you can directly get or go to Instagram or Twitter or whatever, any social media platform, and directly find something. As the algorithm is working like that, you are interested in trading, and on your Instagram account pops up multiple things about trading, and there are so many things about trading. And if you are new to this community or new into trading, you don't directly know where to start. And I think many people lose their focus where to start. They don't have the right place in order, the right people to surround themselves. Like there are some guys just selling signals. I mean, this is not trading, because you relate always on another person, and these are just like, how to call it, let's say scammers. I would say. And there's so much scamming and fraud in the internet. You can just get distracted so fast. So it's so important to stay in your lane, and once you found a place where the people are right, and they are all on the same mission, and don't try to fixate only on the money, because this is what you see on Instagram. Always buying a good Lambo, having money on the table, and so on and so forth. I think these are the things you have to get away from, because all those materialistic things aren't as important as you think in the first place.
I completely agree. You know, that just goes back to being really clear on what you want to do out of this. You mentioned freedom, which I think if more traders would focus on the freedom, because that really is what you want, right? When you've got your time, it's one of the most amazing things. Leaning into that distraction part of that and making sure you're surrounded by the right people. So talk me through the guys in the trade recap group. So we have Nico. Who else do we have in the group?
We have Michael and Matthias.
Nice.
So they are so good guys. They really helped me. And I just mentioned it. They already know what their why is, and they exactly know how they get their why in place and really get into the real life. They work less hours in their normal job and have more time to focus on the right things. One funny thing is I just wanted to mention, as I'm traveling a lot the last few months, I see a lot of people just working on the airport, and I know I'm also a part of this 9 to 5 life currently. And when you travel to like a customer or somewhere else for your company, you just lose your personal time. And if I travel, like I'm traveling like 5 hours to another destination, and people that are like 50 years old, I see so many people that are so old in this perspective, so far into their journey, and they don't value their time correctly. So let's say if we're talking, I started trading in 2017. I'm now 27 years old, and these guys are like 50. Where do you think, or what do you think, do they get as a monetary value in reverse? You know, like 100K or 150K. It's not much when you think about what can you make when trading $1 million account. It's like 15%. This is like like 2 months or 1 month if you're a good trader, you know. And it just baffles me every time that they changing their time for a bit of money that is then taxed. And it's such a crazy world, but we are all our own
That's what I love. That's what I love about what we do at Falcon, is because I want to bring that out in as many people as well. You already know this, but we're doing it. We had Thanos just get to the next level on stage 2, Pam. So shout out to Thanos, the man who's he's really leveling up. He's the epitome of someone who is. You mentioned about Rewired. Yeah. He's gone through that like the back of his hand, and it's been phenomenal to see the level of shift that he's had in his mindset. One story that stood out to me, which is when he came to the end of year event. I believe he was in a taxi, and there was a lot of traffic, and he was going to miss. And this is like the side benefit of what Rewired would do in the mind, not just trading. He was in a lot of traffic, and he thought he was going to miss his flight. Now, most people that are going to miss their flight, I mean, that's not a fun thing. You know, you get a little bit anxious. You think, oh, I'm going to miss the flight. He just said it took him a few seconds, and he just had the emotional composure to say, do you know what? If I miss it, I miss it. I can't control it. And even that might seem so simple, yet 99% of the population cannot display that emotional composure. Now, if you can do that in a situation where most people will be stressed, anxious, what's the benefit that that's going to then bleed into your trading? That when you're going to take a trade and maybe it goes a little bit early, you're not anxious thinking, oh, but I'm not going to miss it. You're going to say, no, this is not the plan. I need to stick to my plan. You're more likely to stick to your rules, more likely to take the trades, the good quality trades, and you make more money. It's as simple as that. I'm curious for you, I mentioned about Rewired. From what you've gone through so far, is there anything that sticks out to you that you think that you need to work on a little bit more that's going to help you trade with larger capital?
Yeah, I think the thing is if I really deserve to trade a bigger account, because I think most of the people in this community come from humble beginnings. We all have money in mind at the first place. And it's just like we are growing up in normal circumstances, and getting like 50K to 100K a year as a salary is normal. And if you're thinking about what you can really make from trading when trading larger capital, can get mind-blowing very fast. And I think so the imagination of trading like 6 figures to high 6 figures is good for me, but I tried to dig this into my brain for like 7 years now. And I think somebody that's new to trading is not prepared for that. I think if I would have started like 1 year ago and now leveling up, it would be more difficult for me to trade like 6 figures. And for me now, the main part is get comfortable with the idea of trading 7 figures or 8 figures. Like 7 figures is such a big number at the first place, but if you break it down to the 1%, you always risk per position. It's
exactly
it's okay, you know. But if you compare it, like when you're trading like a $200,000 account, you risk $2,000. It's like the monthly salary of some nurses, you know. It's not negative, but it's in relation to what you see, what you know, and you have to get comfortable to that, you know.
Yes, definitely. Always dial it up. You've listened well. So minimizing the impact of money is one of the most powerful things you can do, because as humans, we always see things for bigger than what they are versus what they actually are. So if you said there's a hole in the ground, your mind would interpret that as, oh, there's a hole in the ground. You might think, oh, what is that, a big hole? Your mind always exacerbates something of what it is. The same we do it in trading. And that's something really small, not linked to trading. When you say 2,200K account, your mind processes 200K. It doesn't process 2K. I said about the million before. It's 10K a position. 10K, your mind can live with it, because you might have seen 10K in your bank account, or even if you've never had 10K savings, you could at least visualize, it's possible I could have 10K. It doesn't seem like a big reach. And when you start looking at it like that, it's a lot easier for people's minds to then, you know, visualize themselves actually trading that money. For you, the next stages of digging into that, I think, are going to be clear, but you've got such good foundations. Even though you're going to have work to do, I think those foundations that you've worked on those years, I know you mentioned you probably could have done it quicker. You're here now. And I think that's the part that most people forget about trading. I mean, how does it feel knowing that you've hit a nice milestone? You probably feel great about that. What's the next stages for you? Is it just narrowing in how do you feel about your trading plan? How do you feel about your psychological state of mind right now? What's the next focus for you? Is it a bit of tweaking on both?
Yeah. So I traded with my trading plan that I created like half a year ago.
Nice.
And it worked, but a lot of the trades I took were a bit different to what I really wrote down in my trading plan. It's a lot of interpretation, and it just got like 3 setups. And I think it's a good trading plan, you know how to trade, like when to take a risk entry, when to take a reduced risk entry, coming from a high value area, or what we coming from a bigger flag or from a high value area, and so on. I just think that I have to adjust a little bit more. And in terms of trading plan, I think it's just normal to constantly evolve the trading plan as the markets have changed a little bit. And if we don't evolve with the market, we can't succeed in this game, you know? It's my interpretation.
Yeah, nice. No, I like that. I like the fact that you've kept it simple as well. That's the thing. No, just knowing when to take a risk entry versus a reduced risk entry within itself is a huge win for many traders. So for anyone out there right now that is overcomplicating their trading plan, definitely take out a leaf out of Morten's book. If we look at the correlation of successful traders, they all have a very simple trading plan.
Absolutely. I want to dig down into the Inside the Mind podcast that you and Ibi took, like it's called What It Does Take to Never Lose a Funding Account Again.
Yes, yeah.
As I'm always flying to multiple destinations for my work, I always listen to the Inside the Mind podcasts. so I try to get 1 to 2 finished at each flight. And I listened to this podcast like 5 times now, because it's so great how Ibri is saying the constellation of your trading plan, your trading system and psychology, comparing it to the Ferrari, the driver and the fuel. I really love it, and I really can only give it to everybody else that they hear it. Yeah.
I think it makes you realize that, because things said in different ways can, hit your mind. You realize that same car, like the Ferrari example, it's never the car, it's always the driver. I know in trading that would seem obvious, right? Morten, you've got to trade your account. I can't trade your account for you, right? I know many people would have asked me to trade their accounts to them, but you've got to push the buttons, you've got to scale up. It's you in front of that. You're the driver.
The driver.
I think a lot of people don't realize that in trading. They just think that it must be the car. Yeah. That's where their mind goes. It must be the car. Maybe if I changed the wheels, then I'd be a better driver. No, I mean, you can give that person a Porsche, a Lamborghini, give them another car. They're still not going to be a good driver. If you're not a good driver, you're not a good driver. So
if you don't have the fuel, you can do nothing without it. So
exactly.
If you compare it to the mind, which takes a lot of space in the whole system of trading, just compared to this so simple example, you will love it.
No, nice. I'm glad you enjoyed that podcast. What sticks out to me, Morten, with your mentality is that even you're very resourceful with your time. So even when you're flying, you're trying to get podcasting, even when you're doing something else, even though you've been someone that's working in the shadows, you're still consistently, putting in the work, even when you had all those other business. I commend you for that mentality and level of organization. What would you say to someone in the community that maybe has no way near the amount of distractions that you had, but you still found the time to put these things in? Is there something that you do? Are you good with your time? Do you time block things? How have you stayed organized where someone else could take value from that?
So my normal day just very tough. I start my mornings like 6:30 to 7 a.m. I have a dog since 2022, and I go for a morning walk each morning. It's just very good for my mind to get a free state of mind. And then I sit down to the computer. I also try to knuckle down on the monk mode.
Don't worry, I have trouble saying
values, to really get a cold shower, or maybe a cold face shower, to get fresh into the day. And I just sit down to my computer, my chair, my table, like at 7:30, go through my daily watch list, my morning forecast, do my preparation, my affirmations, and really try to get the most out of these 2 hours, 1.5 to 1 hour, to really prepare for the day. Because as most of the people will know, you will get so many to-dos over the day from your normal 9 to 5 that you will get distracted quite fastly. So for me, the morning time is the most important time, although I'm not a morning person, but I try to dig deep and knuckle down on that. And I try to meditate like at lunchtime. Mm-hmm. Just lay down on the sofa, because it's also quite stressful to watch on the computer, on the monitors all the time. I just try to meditate like 15 minutes, then get out, get some fresh air. Then I just do my thing on the normal 9 to 5 again. And in the evening, I'm constantly working on trading stuff. And normally in the last few years, I had to do all this stuff while also doing Amazon FBA, do my self-employment, and so on and so forth. Now I just have the time since the end of 2022 to really knuckle down on trading. which was always my main focus. And now I have a basis of salary coming in each month, so I don't have to stress anymore about making like $400 more to pay the rent. You know, I think it's most important to have a basis of money, of salary coming in, and then using every bit of time or free time you have to really knuckle down on trading. And of course you have to want it. There's nothing like, oh, let's get me more money. There has to be a bigger reason behind what you're doing, why you're always sitting in front of the charts. It's just mind-blowing why people, or how people can always think money is the only incentive. It's time, it's freedom, and
you have to love it. You have to love it. You have to love the discipline side of it. You have to love all of it. You can't just love the money.
And as somebody that is now working in 9 to 5, I never wanted to work in a 9 to 5. I tried to really be self-employed all the time, and founding businesses. It didn't work. So I always had to focus, and there's nothing like, how you call it, like this, that you have a relaxation. You know, everybody's talking about, I don't know it again. Sorry.
No, that's all good. I know. Like I said, if my
work-life balance. Sorry.
Exactly. There you go.
There is nothing like work-life balance. You have to do it just to get it done. You know, and there's nothing you can change about that. You just have to do it until you've achieved your level of your success. This is where I am at the moment. So I'm hustling all the time. I try to get every free bit of the day. So yeah,
I think that's an incredible thing for a lot of the community to take away, Morten. Just your level of just using time well and realizing that, yeah, I agree with you. Work-life balance doesn't exist. It doesn't exist for me now, you know, and I wouldn't have it any other way, because there's a bigger mission, there's a bigger purpose. You know, once you tick off a lot of your goals, you'll realize, oh, that was fun. You know, I always dreamed of having this. And then once you get it, the novelty will wear off very quickly. And then reality will seep in as to, what am I doing every day? You know, what fires me up? What makes me think about, I'm making a real big impact. I'm serving the world in an incredible way. And for me personally, as you know, is seeing all of you guys and girls succeed. It's as simple as that. Building the best fund in the world, making sure that we've got the best education in the world, changing people's lives. The people that you see in the airport, some of them 40, 50, 60 years old, they've worked their whole life without having the courage and the bravery or the right people to say, do you know what? You could do so much more with your life. And they've never had that. So if Falcon can be that for thousands of people in all parts of the world and continue to do that, we're going to see so much more success than what we're seeing right now. But it can only happen with the mentality of the type of mentality that you have. So thank you for being committed.
Yeah,
it just shows you what you can do.
I just wanted to say to you all also big thank you. I think not also me, but also everyone in the community wouldn't be there where we am today, you know, without your energy, your constant commitment, your passion. I think it just had to be said, you know.
I appreciate that, Morten. I appreciate it. Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing the many level ups that you're going to achieve. Next stages for you now. Stay grounded. You know, you've taken your time anyway. You're not the type of person that just rushes things. But this is why the emotional composure is going to be that next ceiling that you break through. And the more work you mentioned about that you wasn't a morning person, you know, I was the same. This is where you're going to love self-image. I made myself a morning person. I was the same thing. I used to say I'm a night owl, and I'd convince myself with lots of night owl work, until I realized, hold on a minute, is this actually going to help me? And my performance has drastically improved since you can change your identity. You know, you can make yourself a morning person over a long enough time frame, but you have to understand there's going to be some friction at the start.
Yeah, absolutely. I just can relate to that because it took me like 7 years.
Exactly.
You know, so
I love it. Well, Morten, any kind of final last words that you'd like to say to the community, or any words of wisdom that you can part us with?
Yeah. So wisdom wise, I would say, like, I have 4 points I wanted to give to everyone in the community, because it can be really hard to succeed in trading. But I think we are at the right spot and the right place with the right community, the right guidance to really achieve what we desire in life. And but you first have to figure out your why. It's just trading is just one of many vehicles for creating wealth, and if you don't know your why, how can you really think you going forward, so money can't be the only obstacle. So really knuckle down, get clear on your why, think about that, and once you figure it out, don't try to get motivated, be disciplined. It's one of the things I really had to learn. At the start, I was motivated by freedom, time, money, but to get there, you have to be disciplined, have your morning routines, evening routines in order to really get where you want to be. So your passion and your commitment will be the fuel necessary to override your old beliefs and your old belief system, your programming, everything that was there before you started to come into this community. So as our own belief system is comprised by our thoughts, feelings, and actions, I think it's so important to really fastly go into Rewired. I think I would have succeeded in trading much quicker if first of all, it would have been in place at that time. But also at that time, when it came out, I wasn't able to financially get it, So now it's the time for me to get in. The third point would be a good listener. So learn of the knowledge and the wisdom of the other people's, like the coaches, like from you. You have so much knowledge in the markets, and I think you have to just put your ego besides and be teachable. So also on my end, I will try to get more coaching calls. I never had one, I have to admit, because of the financial issues at the beginning. And then as I had my routines in order and I got more consistent with my things and then had multiple achievements, I thought it was okay, but it's not. We always be a student of the market, and you just have to have someone that is looking outside of your own visual circumstances to see other things. Like I told you in the trade recap group, when I joined them, my trading made such a big impact, leveled up, and now achieve funding. And the fourth thing and the last thing I wanted to say is also an affirmation I write down every day since like 5 years. I will persist until I succeed. So never give up. I now got goosebumps because remember where you started in the first place, and never give up. There's so much to lose in life, but never give up.
Love that, Morten. Thank you so much. Those last 4 points were absolutely phenomenal. If everybody would just play that part back and just listen to those points, you would realize how much wisdom. That is 5-6 years of Morten's journey. And when you see people that have gone through that experience, it's very deliberate. I can tell just by the points that you mentioned how intentional and deliberate your success is. And this foundation, I can assure you this, we'll look back in many, many years to come, and you'll see when you're trading multiple 7 figures towards 8 figures and you've achieved everything, you'll be able to reverse engineer the entire process because you've built it in the correct way. I'm incredibly proud of your growth and your level of discipline and your ability to not be distracted by all the external forces out there. So big props to you. Congratulations again. And I look forward to celebrating more wins.
Thank you. Can't wait to toast to all the achievements the community has taken in Dubai this year.
Oh, I can't wait for it. That's been a vision. Myself and the coaches, we talk about it all the time, me, Abdu and Ibi. And we, of course, we speak to one another about certain, individuals that have got to certain levels. We have personal relationships with lots of you guys and girls because we're fully invested. It's not easy to change someone's life. It's difficult. And like you said, you never had a coaching call. Ibby was exactly the same. Never had a coaching call. He financially wasn't in a position to do that. You followed in his footsteps. The key thing is, everyone who learns different. Someone might learn with having their handheld right at the beginning. Someone learns in the shadows. Someone will learn by in the live sessions. That might be the thing that pushes them through. And some people need that over the shoulder at certain levels to go, right, let's just tweak this a little bit. But generally speaking, the answers that they're always in the content. They're right there. You just have to listen well, which was one of the points that you mentioned. So no, thank you for that. I'm looking forward to celebrating a lot of wins. We're going to do that at the end of the year. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I can't wait for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate your time, Morten.
Thank you. Awesome.